Yes. So let's start with the current affairs. Okay. So 5 news we will see. 2 of them are basically interlinked. The very first one is about the request that was made by our Honorable Prime Minister for avoiding to buy gold, and various other things were also mentioned in that to cut the tourism, right? That is the thing, but major focus would be with respect to this. And a similar article has come with respect to the stress that our foreign exchange is having, and why is there a need for economic austerity. Austerity means basically thinking before you spend. Do not spend mindlessly, spend in a planned manner and only when it is necessary. So that kind of economic austerity is needed by India right now. We'll understand the magnitude or significance of that. Okay. Then you have another issue that we are actually dealing with. Another issue that we are dealing with since some time now, that is the issue of the fertilizers. So shortage of fertilizer is also there in India as we speak. Because the countries from where we import the fertilizers, they are themselves not able to produce it because they themselves are not getting raw materials because of the geopolitical instability that is going on. So along with this, what other issues are there in our fertilizer sector? What improvements can be done? The concept of nutrient based subsidies, and the issue of the inaccurate, or let's say exorbitant ratios of NPK. What are these NPK? What are these ratio mean? What issues that they cause to the soil? We will see all those things over here. Then you have the periodic labor force survey 2025, which has taken place. Now this gives you a good fodder for your mains answer, because a very latest survey of the labor force is present with you. You can use the data for unemployment and all those things. We will also look at the concepts of unemployment, workforce, labor force, and what is the present trend. Then finally you have the coal gasification scheme. Now, why this scheme? There is already a previous scheme going on. On top of that, another scheme is coming, which is going to build on the already existing scheme, which is going to increase the gasification of the coal. That means making gas. And what gas are we making? We are going to make syngas that is there. So we'll understand what is syngas, how it is prepared, what are the advantages of syngas over any other gas, so on and so forth. Okay? Clear? So let's start with the very first thing, that is the demand that was made by our Honorable Prime Minister with respect to not using gold, not traveling abroad. Okay? Work from home should be considered by the companies. Okay? So we'll not discuss the politics of it or whatever is going on around it. The fact that if it is being asked from the topmost authority, then it should start also from there. They should lead by example. They should first declare all the gold assets and everything that their ministers are having, and then pledge that they themselves are not going to buy any unnecessary thing, and they are going to give us the let's say again another bureau of the gold that they have bought in the next year. So if they can lead by example, then yes, everyone should follow it. But that is a different part of it. We will simply look at why this restraint on gold is being mentioned by the Prime Minister, and why do we need to do that? What has happened which is leading to this? So all that I will explain, then we will go through the presentation also. Okay. So let's first understand this. Shall So first things first, what is foreign exchange? Our foreign exchange consists of the foreign currency assets. Then you have the gold, monetary gold, that is not the jewelry form, the monetary gold that is kept by the RBI. Then you have the special drawing rights. This is the right that we have in the IMF to withdraw the foreign currency assets. Then you have the reserve tranche position or reserve tranche facility. These two things are related to the IMF. The highest amount of foreign exchange is held with us in the form of the foreign currency assets or foreign currency notes. Second ranked is the gold. Third is SDR, and fourth is reserve tranche position. This sequence also you should remember. Okay. Now, when it comes to gold, how much gold do we have? We have around 880 tons of gold is what you have. Okay. Now, another fact I will tell you is, if you are asked whether RBI has more gold or the Indian citizens combined together have more gold, so please remember, all of us combined together have more gold than the Reserve Bank of India. The Indian citizens are holding thousands of tons of gold with themselves. Is that clear? Now, having said that, another interesting thing has taken place with respect to gold. This 880 tons of gold that you see, so around a majority of this gold, I might have mentioned in the class, majority of this gold that is there was held by BIS and BOE. This is Bank of International Settlement and Bank of England. Is this clear? These are international banks, Bank of International Settlement and Bank of England, and you have the RBI as well. So majority of the gold was held by these two banks. Okay. If you look at 2022, over 500 tons of gold was held by them, and around 350-360 tons of gold was held by RBI. The reason being, this holding our gold with these banks gave our gold exposure to the Western and the global market, because the RBI buys and sells securities, golds, etc. So it gives us access immediately to the global market. But something happened in 2022. What happened in 2022? Ji? Corona happened in 2020. 2022, the Ukraine-Russia war is going to be at its full strength. So that triggered a geopolitical uncertainty in the world. So that is the year when India started to bring its gold back. India started to bring its gold back 2023, 24 and 25. And even recently, again they have brought the gold back. So over these years, they brought over 360, 340, 360 something tons of gold back to India. So right now the situation is that the BIS and BOE combined together hold around 197 tons of gold. That means approximately 200 tons of gold, and 680 tons of gold is held by the RBI. So right now majority of our gold is held by RBI itself. And if you look at the foreign exchange, we are doing very well. When the economic survey was released, it was said that we have crossed $700 billion in foreign exchange. Not just that, this number in February increased to $726 billion. So we are again doing quite well in this. Now it is said that around how much foreign exchange you should have? You should have around 6 months worth of exports of foreign exchange is what you should have. Okay. With this $726 billion, India has over 11 months worth of imports foreign exchange. Right. So that is a really good number. It's a good number, right? But then what is happening over here is that if you look at the Indian rupee, so Indian rupee in the year 2025, the Indian rupee from $1 equal to 85 rupees depreciated to $1 equal to 90 rupees. That's basically from November 2024 to December 2025. This is the depreciation that took place. Around 5.5% of depreciation took place. Now, the economic survey mentions that the best thing that can happen in 26-27 is that the economy behaves in the same manner as it did in the previous year. That means we are not looking for any improvement. We are just thinking that at least if it behaves as it behaved in 2025-26, it would be considered good enough. Why? Because geopolitical risks are very high. Uncertainties in the world is very high. So the best case scenario economic survey says is as good as 25-26. But what happened? The Israel attacked Iran. It started a war. Then the production facilities took hit because Iran responded by destroying production facilities in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Oman. All the Middle East was basically under conflict. Also, the Strait of Hormuz was closed, the production went down, the ships were not being allowed to pass through it, as a result of which crude oil prices are going up. All these uncertainties are now coming up. Now, when these uncertainties are going to come up, what is going to happen is, of course, people would want to invest more and more in gold. Gold is a safe haven. It's a safe asset in which you can invest money. Share market may go down, stock market may go down, price fluctuation in the currency, but gold gives you safety. So people will want to have more gold. Also, what happened with the Indian rupee and the dollar scenario is that we are going to have further depreciation of the Indian rupee, and this $1 equal to 90 rupees that was there, it is now $1 equal to 95 and below that. So we have crossed 95, 96 rupees per dollar. Now this is again about the same depreciation that took place in the last complete year that has happened over a period of just two and a half months. So that is a steep depreciation of the Indian rupee. Now in addition to this, one more thing that we should know is this depreciation has happened despite the intervention of the RBI. RBI is continuously intervening. RBI is basically dumping around $1 billion worth of value in the market every single day. That's the amount of dollars RBI is dumping in the market. So in the last month and a half, 40 days, around 36 to 38 billion dollars have been dumped by RBI into the market. So our foreign exchange from 726 goes down to 696 and it's going below 696 billion dollars. Now this is also a good number and the fluctuations are anyhow there, but over a period of a year there will be a fluctuation of 40-50 billion dollars, but just within 35 to 40 days you have a fluctuation of about 40 billion dollars, which is not sustainable. Why it's not sustainable? If this continues, in 1 year we would have halved our foreign exchange, and instead of 11 months we would have just 5.5 months worth of foreign exchange. It is not sustainable for us. So we need to keep a check on this.
What was the status of foreign exchange during COVID times?
During COVID time, so at that time we were around 590, right? But we kept on increasing our foreign exchange. In 2022-23 it increased to 650, right? And even if you look at 24, around 650 was the highest. In 25 we came close to 700. Yes. Our foreign exchange was increasing. Yes. So you do see two things happening. One is depreciation was happening, but foreign exchange was also increasing. Why? Because RBI, that depreciation increase was happening even without RBI. RBI was not intervening much because depreciation was not much. It was still gradual in nature. Okay. Now also depreciation is this, which is high, but if RBI would not have intervened, it would have been higher. So the real picture of depreciation is what? Without the intervention of the RBI, this 96 rupees would have crossed 100. But RBI had to intervene. Within two months, RBI used to do OMOs of around 40-50 billion dollars over a period of 1 year. But that OMO RBI is doing in just 2 months. So that means 2 months it's doing that. That means it is 6 times the speed of open market operation, right? That is why it is not sustainable. So what do we need to do over here is,
Why there was no intervention of RBI
for which one?
for this depreciation?
This one. RBI is intervening even after that. This is what is happening.
After but before it?
No, it is continuously intervening. Since the last 2 months it is intervening. So that is the whole point. So from here to here it was gradual. Over a year it took place, so intervention was less. Now after the conflict the depreciation was quite rapid, so RBI kept on dumping $1 billion every day. Even after doing that, this is the speed, right? So of course we can always argue that intervention should have been more, but how more? Because you don't know how the situation would last. So you still have to safeguard your money, right? So for example, when Iran started responding and started attacking US's base, so why did they not, let's say bombard all the missiles? Because you don't know how long the war will last. So you keep all those things in mind and then you launch the vehicles, launch the missiles. In the same manner, you keep all those things in mind. You don't know how long it will last. So you cannot also dump 10, 20 billion dollars at one go, because if it lasts quite long, then you will not have much money to play with. So it has to be a calculated decision by the RBI. Now, how do we resolve this? To resolve this, we have to do one thing, that is reduce our imports. What is this, man? Okay, I think this, it has to be deleted only. Anyway, we have to basically reduce our imports. Now, if we talk about imports, now we'll go on to the statement, why that statement was made. If we talk about our imports, gold is one of our imports. 90% of the gold that we use every year is basically imported. In addition to this, we have the import of crude oil, we have the import of LPG, LNG, and other energy related stuffs is also we are importing. Then you have activated pharmaceutical ingredients, there will be rare earth minerals. A lot of imports are there from our side, right? Now these imports that are there, they are compulsory imports. That means you have to make those imports. Without these imports, you will not be sustaining, right? Crude oil, you need it for tankers, for jets, for safety, security of the country, and of course the entire country also needs it. LPG, LNG, so the vehicles are running on the gas, the cylinders are running on the gas, and activated pharmaceutical ingredients used in the medicines. So these are compulsory, you cannot as such reduce them. So what can you reduce? You can reduce the items which are not a necessity, right, which might be a luxury and things like this. So one of the high value thing is gold over here, 90% of which is imported, hence the statement of avoiding to buy the gold for a period of 1 year. So this is the entire crux of it. So we can clearly see that logically it makes absolute sense. Is that correct? Okay.
Even if we avoid the buying of the gold, the import will be compulsory, but import will be there.
This will be there now, you cannot do anything about that, but you will reduce it over here, right?
Oh, so by instead of avoiding buying, they can.
Exactly. So if I have $300 billion and let's say I am spending $20 billion over here, I can reduce that and I can still import that. And also what is happening is their prices are going up, right? So now if my gold requirement remains the same, my this requirement remains the same, because of the increase in prices, instead of 350, I would need, let's say, $350 billion now, correct? So when I need $350 billion, my foreign exchange will go more. That's point number one. Point number two, demand for dollar increases, further appreciating the dollar and depreciating the rupee. So what I do is I try to curb this. If I curb this by 10 to 15 billion dollars, what happens is that can help me over here. I would require lesser foreign exchange and the appreciation of dollar would also be controlled. So the idea is multifaceted approach is what you need to stop the steep decline or depreciation of the Indian rupee. Okay? Is that clear? So that is the whole point of it. Also, tourism. So foreign tourism. When you go for foreign tourism, again, you exchange Indian rupees for dollars, for pounds, for euros to whichever country you are going to. So that also would be reducing. If you reduce that, demand for those currencies also reduce. So here, this is the demand side that we are being asked to control. So we will demand less of those currencies, so that those currencies will not appreciate much. That is the idea. And if you can see over here, you are having a situation wherein the crude oil prices are basically going up. So from around 70 to $80 per barrel. From Russia, we were getting at 66, but still the market price was 60 to 80. Now it has gone beyond $100 per barrel. So the cost is also increasing simply because the risks are more. Strait of Hormuz was blocked. Even if it is open, risks are more. When risks are more, insurance premium of the ships are more. Not just that, the production facilities of the West Asian countries have taken a hit. So overnight, if everything stops and everything is peaceful, the production will not start automatically to the same level. You have to reconstruct, rebuild, blast furnace, everything needs to come up again, and then the production will go in full swing. And also Iran is basically starting to charge fees for allowing you to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is anyhow going to increase your prices of the crude oil. Okay? And also, USA is now controlling Venezuela, which has 1/5 of the world's crude oil reserve. So when USA controls so much of crude oil, it can dictate the term of trade. It will say that I want to trade only in dollars. You can't do anything. You'll still have to trade in dollars only. That is the concept of petrodollars.
So this is working, right? The avoiding buying of gold is working.
It is, what is happening is, Prabhudeva, 2-3 days afterwards, the government actually increased the import duty on gold. From 9% they made it 15%. So they increased the price only. When you increase the price, anyhow the demand can come down. So that one effect is also there. Okay? And the second effect, of course, the effect of the request would also be there, but the effect of the import duty is also there. So if you see that there is a slight decline in the purchase of the gold, import duty will also be one of the reasons. Okay?
But the dollar price has been increased. The dollar price from 96.08 to 95.7.
Because RBI is also doing OMO. Na? So basically it's a net impact. So it is a net impact. This request is working, import duty is working, open market operation is working. 3-4 things have to work together for this. Okay? You have seen in news, many people are coming back here. No, we will not go for tour of the foreign countries. Okay? Anyway, so now why gold buying is hurting Indian economy? Of course, we know the dollar outflow, worsening of the trade deficit because the import will be more. That is the issue. So what is this trade deficit? This increase in the current account deficit. So basically the concept is current account balance. Now in current account balance, what is it? It is the export of goods and services and the import of goods and services. So we export goods and services and we import goods and services. Our export of goods and services is less than our import of goods and services. So when we export, we basically earn the dollars. When we import, we basically spend the dollars. So we are earning less as compared to what we are spending. So our current account balance is basically in a deficit, and hence it is known as current account deficit. And since we are spending more and more dollars, that means demand of dollar is increasing in the market. Demand of dollar is increasing, the rupee will weaken against it. In fact, not just that, so we talk from the perspective of rupee. This is happening for the majority of the currencies in Asia are taking a hit. Okay, it's just China whose currency has not depreciated in this scenario. But if you look at other Asian countries, they are also seeing a decline in their value, in the currency value of theirs. Okay, so this is basically hitting other countries as well. So it is not that there is some mismanagement or some issue with the RBI who's not able to manage, nothing like that. It is an external scenario. No one foresaw that. Okay? Even the intelligence agencies did not feel that Iran was a threat. They did not even feel that USA would all of a sudden attack it. It was a complete surprise for everyone, and when the situation came, it was not in control of so many countries, including us. It is an external factor, so we have to deal with it. Okay? Surely. Expected benefits, yes. So how much could we save? Nearly $72 billion annually could be saved if the this necessary gold that is there. RBI is also buying gold, because remember that. But if you look at, this is the chart of how much gold is imported. So every month you can see 40 tons are being imported. In the month of August, if you look at in the month of September, October, festivities, when the festivities are there, Diwali is there, festivals are there. So you would, of course, you save money to spend in the festivities. So that is a very obvious reason over here. This is the amount of gold that we are basically importing. So this is how many months? This is 7 months. So in around 7 months, around 470, 480 tons of gold we import. So over a year, around 850 to 900 tons of gold we are importing. The amount of gold that RBI has, we all 150 crore citizen import that every single year. ठीक है? Clear? Surely. So benefits we all know. Downsides. This is another aspect. What is the downside if you stop import of the gold, if we stop using? So of course, a lot of people's livelihood is linked to it. The jewelers, the shopkeepers, the artisans who are there, who work, some person is earning a lot of rupees, fair enough, but they are also employing tens and hundreds of people in the jewelry shop. At the same time, artisans are there, they also work, so their employment and all may face a concern. So retailers, artisans, they may face lower demand. Okay? So that is one of the aspects. So the jewelry business and all may slow down. Bullion and jewelry business. What is bullion? Basically the bars and the coins that you get, which is basically the gold that you use for investing. Right, so there the making charges is not much. In jewelry, there are making charges 30%, 35%, 25%. So you generally use it to wear, to buy, and it becoming an asset is just another excuse for that. But if you are doing specifically from the investment perspective, you have the gold bars, etc., which are nothing but the bullions. Okay. Now shift to other assets. If you are not investing in gold, you might shift to other assets, property, fixed deposit, financial assets. That is a possibility. So this is fair enough, you can diversify it, but then again it will lead to increase in the property prices and other things can also come out of it. Third is, if the import duty has increased, whenever the import duty increases, there is a possibility of smuggling, for example. Smuggling means bringing in the gold without the knowledge of the custom officer knowing about it. If you would have seen Lucky Bhaskar movie, so they bring in the televisions, smuggle the television so that they don't have to pay import duty. Now LPG reforms take place and import duties are slashed. So there is no benefit in smuggling. Taskari is also good, very good. Yes, they directly import the gold. Okay? Is that clear? Yes. So this is the second article on the exact same thing. Yes. Here are the demands that was made. Don't buy gold, do not travel abroad, reduce the petrol and diesel consumption, reduce, I don't know whether reduce oil consumption was there, but prioritize work from home was there? Oil seeds. Cooking oil, oil seeds. Because around 45% of our cooking oil demand is satisfied through the imports only. So almost half of the demand is satisfied by imports. So that is also a huge cost, definitely. And to be actually true, we do use a lot of oil in our food. So if we just half it, if we simply every household decides to half it, we would not need the import of crude oil. And not just that, if you think of it, it will be healthier for you also to actually have less cooking oil. Make sense? Okay? Chaliye. So this is on the similar lines. India's foreign exchange reserve, they have, as I said, they fell by $38 billion in just 2 months. So 36 to $38 billion of selling of the foreign exchange reserve RBI has already done. A major reason, gold imports, volatile global crude oil prices, which we have seen, rising outward remittances and foreign spending. Also what is happening right now is the foreign exchange from India, is also basically going out of the country. So foreign exchange is going out of the country. Another reason for this is, which does not get generally talked about, is the increase in the US Treasury bonds. US Treasury bonds. What are bonds? Bonds are basically debt instruments which are used to borrow money, right? So the interest rates that one can earn in a bond is known as a yield. So the interest rates on the US Treasury bonds have increased. That means now you will get a higher return if you invest in the US Treasury bond. So what is happening? The money from the rest of the world and from India is flying out from the country and going and getting invested in US's Treasury bond. Why? Because this is US government's Treasury bond, one of the safest asset there can ever be in the country presently. So even if the return is less, people used to still invest in it. Now their returns are also increasing. So what will happen? Money will fly away, go and get invested into United States of America, right? So this is also a concern for us. Okay. Current macroeconomic situation, yes, it went to 96, but as we said, presently it's into 95. The highest I think that it went, this is This, I think, what is the date? Yeah, this is of 20th May, 2026. So that's just 2 days before. It was 96.05. If you look at one thing, you can see a steep increase, but for a small time, and then it curved up. But now you can see a steep increase, and the increase just seems to continue. So it is a long drawn thing. So since 2014 to 2026, if you see, this steep is actually quite high. So we need to do something about it. See, I'll tell you another aspect of it. Okay, this is also happening because we are importing a lot. Every time importing is not a bad thing, in the sense that it also shows that the country is now affluent. When the people have more money power, per capita income is increasing. So, but obvious, we would want to have foreign products, we would want to have gold, we would want to have all these things. So all is not bad. It shows that our per capita income has increased, our purchasing power has increased. That is why we are importing, investing a lot in gold, right? So instead of that, we can find maybe other instruments also to invest. Okay. Twin burden of import is nothing but importing the compulsory imports as well, plus gold and other non-compulsory import as well. So that is the entire reason why we are calling for austerity, means to control our consumption in these instruments. Okay. Risk of excessive foreign exchange saving measures. Okay. Import. Another thing about it is our manufacturing sector that is there. It is also to an extent import dependent. Import dependent means, so if you talk about manufacturing sector, let's say you are creating certain electronic devices, right? In the electronic devices, you need semiconductors. You are importing semiconductors. In semiconductors, rare earth minerals are there. You are importing that, right? So that is the whole point of it, that whenever we are producing domestically, also a lot of ingredients from foreign country might be required for us. And a lot of things we bring in and we export also. Crude oil is also one example. We can sometimes also benefit from it because we export our petroleum, right? We bring in crude oil prices are high, petroleum prices will be high, and then we sell it, we can earn dollars from there, but our consumption is also very high. Excessive restriction, if you restrict heavily the imports, increase the duties of the imports, it will hamper our manufacturing industries also because they depend on the import. That is what is being said over here. Surely, I think risk to foreign investment. I've already told you that this fluctuation discourages the FDIs, FIIs, and they are also basically flying away. Now, what is the way forward? See, one way forward they have talked about is revamping the gold monetization scheme. So what was this gold monetization scheme? Basically, your gold was taken and it was monetized. It will be kept with the government, and after whatever many years you give your gold, it gets converted into bullions, bars, coins, etc. Whoever else wants to invest in gold, they can take that gold. The same gold will be given to them. So there is no need for importing the gold as such. And if you have basically participated in scheme for 5 years, after 5 years, whatever is the price of the gold, right, that price will be given back to you. Now, what is the importance of this? This basically reduces the amount of import that you are required to do. So it did not work much because the jewelry, as I said, also has what? Making charges. It also has emotional sentiments, attachment to it. It might be historically passed on to it, right? So all those reasons are there which makes it reluctant for the people to do that as such. Okay, so you can revamp that. Now how can you revamp that? Maybe someone has bullion which they have bought. Now they are keeping with them in lockers, etc. So they can also take part in gold monetization scheme for, let's say, 5 years. Their bullion gets locked in and then someone else can invest in the gold. Another scheme was the gold bond scheme, right? In gold bond scheme, what happened is you simply invest in the gold bond whose prices are linked to the price of gold. The issue with this is, since there is no backing of the physical gold, the returns, when they are too high, it is difficult for the government will give you the returns, but again it is going to be a huge burden because a lot of people earned 300% plus of returns in just 8 years. Okay? And there is no gold backing over here. In the gold monetization scheme, it will be backed by the gold, so it will not be an excessive burden on the government. Okay? Energy transition, okay, fair enough. We should start using more and more electric vehicles. E20 petrol is there. We are thinking about blending even more with the ethanol, right? Green hydrogen mission. Then we will use, and the last news is about the gasification of coal, which creates syngas. Syngas can be put to multiple uses as well. So that will reduce our dependency with respect to energy on other countries. Ji? We'll do it. Syngas is basically a mixture of carbon and hydrogen. Hydrogen is the main component over here in the syngas. So in coal gasification, what you do is you convert the coal into gas. We'll see that process. We'll see that formula also. Okay. Next is the roadmap with respect to the fertilizer reform. Now, what has the Prime Minister again given a call for? The Prime Minister has said halving the chemical fertilizer usage, to reduce the chemical fertilizer usage. Now, this looks like a very Herculean task, but I will tell you the NPK ratio, it's very distorted. NPK ratio basically means what? The amount nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So in what proportion are you using them? So this ratio is very distorted. You will see the ratio being 30:2:2 or 30:2:1. So huge amount of nitrogen is being used, right? Now why this is being used is because these two are provided subsidies based on nutrient based subsidy. Nutrient based subsidy means depending upon the amount of nutrient required, the different levels of subsidies will be given. Urea, which provides you with nitrogen, is not under nutrient based subsidy. The highest amount of subsidy is given in urea. Since the highest amount of subsidy given is in urea, the farmers are majorly using urea, which is majorly giving them nitrogen, and the ratio is becoming loop-sided. The ratio should be 3:1:2, right? Different soil will require different ratio, but the ratio is not this much extreme. The ratio has become this extreme, so we need to lower this. That's point number one. We need to also focus on organic farming. That is point number two, right? So by doing this, we need to ensure that we reduce. Maybe halving is still a bigger challenge, but at least we need to reduce this particular requirement. How can we do that? One, precise nutrient management. Identify exactly how much is needed. Everyone enrolled in the soil health card, you know what your soil has, you know exactly what your soil needs, and you provide exactly, precisely what is the requirement. You lower the overconsumption, right? You can use nano fertilizers also. Nano fertilizer. Now, nano fertilizer are also more efficient. What are nano fertilizer? Let's say this is a single molecule of the fertilizer, right? How do I explain that is, a single molecule is there. This is the single molecule. Now, if I break this down into 100 pieces, what will happen? Small molecules will come. So what happens if you take their surface area basically increases, right? You give me a book, I'll tell you how the surface area basically works, right? So if you have a look at this is basically a book. Now its surface area is what? This one and slightly this boundary. Now if I basically break it into half, this is one piece and this is another piece. Now what is the area? This plus this plus this plus this. So the area has almost doubled. Now if I like this break it into each and every pages, can you see how the surface area keeps on increasing? So when the surface area keeps on increasing, it keeps on increasing as and when you basically keep on breaking it down. So you have the concept of nano fertilizers. Nano fertilizers will be very minute in nature. They will have 10 to the power -9 of molecules, right? So the idea is their surface area will increase. When the surface area increases, small amount of fertilizer will also have more area of contact with the soil. So the application efficiency will increase. So you will require lesser amount of fertilizer for the same amount of crop. This is one thing. Okay. Second, if you are using irrigation facility, then one benefit of irrigation we already know that it provides the exact quantity of water. If there is shortfall, you can still provide the water. Another use is, we have discussed in our green revolution topic, that it also can dilute the fertilizer to the exact same amount. If you are just putting in powder like this, it may not get dissolved and utilized completely by the soil. But if you are putting it diluted to the precise amount through irrigation, that to drip irrigation, it will provide precisely at the proper location. So the efficiency of the use of fertilizer will increase. So if we can reduce the consumption by organic, by lowering this, plus increase the efficiency, at least 15 to 20% of reduction we can do actually, if not half. Okay? So this is the idea of use of fertilizers. Now concerns, presently concerns what are there? We basically import. So we are dependent on the West Asian countries that are there for the supplies. Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Morocco is not giving us because Morocco's supplies are still struggling. They themselves are not finding it because they then get the raw materials from another country. So there is a huge supply chain issue because of which the incoming of the fertilizer has taken a hit. Plus, Strait of Hormuz handles 30% of the global fertilizer trade. So even this trade has taken a hit. Okay? Then you have the Kharif subsidy. This is another important thing, that if you look at the subsidy, you see that Kharif 2026 subsidy for potassium and phosphorus fertilizer around 41,534 crore rupees. There's a huge amount of subsidy also that is given. Now in this there has been an increase of 4,300 crore from the previous year. Why? Because the cost is increasing. Supply is less, demand is still the same or even higher, so price is increasing. This increase is more than 10% of increase in the subsidy that is there. It of course leads to increase in our fiscal deficit, right? Diverts funds from infrastructure, defense. Of course, if we are giving more money over here, we have less money to use elsewhere. This is quite obvious. Okay. Yes. This one interesting thing that I wanted to tell you is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Please remember for your exam which fertilizer takes care of what thing. So if you look at nitrogen, nitrogen is very important for the green growth. Green growth here would mean what? You have the leaves, for example, right? That is important. You have phosphorus. Phosphorus is important for flowers and for fruits. Okay? And then you have potassium. Potassium is needed for the overall well-being of the plant. So this is the most technical question they can ask you with respect to the NPK, which you should basically remember. Yes, coming on to the next thing. Yes, excessive nitrogen use. As I have said, because subsidies are high, people are using more of that. So you can see the NPK ratio. NPK ratio is 34:10:1. So you can see 34:1. This is quite extreme over here. Ideal ratio, of course, this will also vary from soil to soil, crop to crop. But generally a lot of places require 4:2:1. So N, P and K needed is 4:2:1. So whatever you need, you need let's say 10 kgs of potassium. So then you will need 20 kgs of phosphorus. So then you will need 40 kgs of nitrogen. But what is happening? You are having 10 kgs of this and you are having 340 kgs of nitrogen. Okay? So that has to go down. Importance of fertilizer, we know these are macronutrients. Basically they are required in huge amount. They enable the use of the HYV seeds, that is high yield variety seeds, without which it will not be possible, because high yield variety seeds require higher concentration of nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. Organic fertilizer do not provide you high concentration of these, that is why the fertilizers are necessary. It will also help you to have multiple cropping cycle, because if not, then the nutrients will be taken away. So these fertilizers provides you artificially the additional nutrition that is required, so that you can have multiple crops in a single year. ठीक है. Way forward, what should be done is, one thing is that bring urea also under the nutrient based subsidy. That means depending upon the requirement of the urea, that much amount of subsidy should be provided, so that the production is also kept at check and the farmers also use it sustainably. Promote sustainable practices, integrated nutrient management, organic manure supplementation. Precision farming will improve the efficiency, lower the requirement. Organic manure will lower the requirement. So the same things that we have already discussed. Okay. Improve the nano fertilizer technology also. So these nano fertilizers can become more prevalent, which can be used. Expand drone access and farmer training. Okay. Farmer training and all can be done. The thing is, it's not that the farmers would not be aware, they know. It's just that if you are giving them urea for cheap, it is but obvious that they will start and try to use more of that. So very first point becomes really very important, that please bring the urea also under the nutrient based subsidy. Okay. So if I need 3 ingredients for certain things, one of the ingredient is cheaper, I would try to use more of that ingredient. Okay. Yes. Next is the periodic labor force survey 2025. Important in this is what, with respect to prelims fact, who brings this survey out? It is brought out by the National Statistics Office, previously known as the Center Statistics Office. It is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay. What has been the key highlights? The labor force participation. What is labor force participation? Yes, what is labor force participation? Do you know what is labor force participation? Workforce participation?
Workforce means, labor force means, I studied already, but who are in a working with the workforce, sir. Labor force means who are searching for a work.
Okay, that's it. Okay, good. Workforce is correct. People who are actually doing the job are workforce. Labor force includes the people who are actually doing the job, and also the people who are able to work, willing to work, searching for the job but not getting the job. Okay. So basically labor force will generally be greater than the workforce. They both will be equal only if unemployment is 0, or else labor force will generally be greater than workforce. And labor force minus the workforce will give you the unemployment that is there in the society, in the country, in the market, in the economy. And labor force minus workforce divided by the labor force into 100, if you do, it will give you the unemployment rate. Clear? So now they are saying that labor force participation is 59.3%. That means a person in the working age group, however many, let's say 100 people are there, 59.3 people are basically able to work and looking for work, willing to work, and are basically searching for the job. Okay. One good thing that is coming out of this survey is unemployment rate. It has declined to 3.1%. Okay. This was actually higher than 6%. Now it has basically reduced by 50%. From 6% to come down to 3%, that means 50% reduction. So it has come down to 3.1%. This is a good number compared to what we have seen previously. Okay. Another important fact for prelims is, it's the very first time that the labor force participation survey, periodic labor force survey has been done on a calendar year format. Calendar year format means they have taken the unemployment and all these data from 1st of January to 31st of December 2025 instead of the financial year. They have taken it in the calendar year format. Okay? This is the change. This is happening for the first time, or else this was linked to the fiscal year only. Okay? Let's changes. I have to make the changes, then only it happens. Let's move ahead. So key findings. So labor force participation rate starts from 15 years and above. So what they have basically done is this. We have already discussed this. In this male, look at the male participation. Male participation is close to 80%. 79.1% is male. Okay? And female is 40%. Almost half. It is almost half. Worker population ratio. So how many people are working divided by how much population is there total. So basically you have this as 57.4%. Important is this and this is very important. So female labor force participation is almost half of the male labor force participation. Okay? Around 61.6 crore employed persons are there. 41.6 are males. 20 crore are basically females. Is that clear? So this is considering 15% and beyond and up to 58% basically in the working age group. Now other employment trends, if you look at self-employment, it has declined to 50. Now this is very important because unless and until you know this fact, you cannot guess it in the paper. In the paper, we might think that the self-employment might be increasing, but it has declined. The number would be increasing, the number of people who are self-employed, but as a percentage, it has gone down to 56.2%. Regular salaried employees have increased to 23.6%. This also hints towards a very good thing that might be happening, that is formalization of labor. That is possible. But at least now the understanding is formalization of labor is also happening. So basically people, previously organization not reporting that they have the employees are now reporting that they have the employees. Government is also running formalization schemes. What are these formalization schemes? See, you want the economy to become formal, get registered, get under a tax net, start to pay the tax. Now someone is in the business since the last 10 years but has not been formally registered, has 10, 15, 20 employees or 25 employees. Right now, if they go to register, what will happen is the government would ask, boss, you are such a big business, so you might be earning big amount previously also, you might be giving to them also, why these people are not enrolled under the Employees Provident Fund organization, why you have not done this, not done that, right? So people would be reluctant to formalize now. If they are informal, they will remain. But the government came up with a scheme in which, the EPFO came up with a scheme in which they said, okay, all these organizations who are not formal, they want to convert into formal organization, please come, convert yourself, register your employees on the EPFO. We will not ask you any questions as to why did you not register it so far. No questions asked, no penalties, nothing, come and register. So that is an opportunity for the organization to convert into formal. So one of the reasons would be this. In addition to that of course the other reasons would also be there, that the salaried employees are increasing over here. Youth unemployment, overall youth unemployment rate. So urban youth unemployment rate is higher than the rural youth unemployment rate. Remember this. Second, the labor force participation of female in the urban sector would be higher than in the rural sector would be higher than in the urban sector. Why? Because in the rural India, a lot of feminization of agricultural labor is happening. So in rural India, what is happening as of now is from rural to urban. So from rural to urban, there is basically migration that is taking place. And who is that is migrating? An adult male is basically migrating. So this adult male leaves behind the dependents, elderly, children, and women are left behind. So it is the women who are doing the farm work, who are doing the labor, the farm labor, leading to feminization of agriculture, as a result of which the participation of female in the labor force in rural area is higher than in the urban area. Okay? So this is something you should remember with respect to youth. Urban youth more unemployed. Okay? Employment trends. Okay? This trends. So if you look at trends, this is you should remember, you can use it for your answer. Let's say a decade back we used to write almost half of the people are employed in agriculture. 20 years back you used to write more than half. उससे पहले before that even more percentage was there. Now the employment in agriculture is declining, so it has declined to now 43%. ठीक है, it has basically declined to 43% over here. Gender and skill challenge. Female self-employment earnings, it increased by 8.8%. Female salaried earnings have increased by 7.2%. 44%, this is important. 44.4% women cited childcare and homemaking responsibilities for them to not work. So if out of 100 only 40 people are working, 60 are not working, out of that 60, 40% of that 60 are saying that okay, I am not working because of the childcare responsibility and the household work that I have. That is the reason. So this is the topmost reason. Education and skill, only 4.2% of workforce received formal vocational or technical training. That means a lot of people are working without any formal or technical training that is there. Educational attainment, 67.8% population attained at least secondary education. Average years of formal schooling is 10 years. So remember our HDI. In HDI we are talking about expected years of schooling, mean year of schooling. So mean year of schooling index is what? Mean year of schooling divided by 15. Right? In India, what is that? Average years of formal schooling for us is basically 10. It's basically 10 years. What is this survey? So this is, it was launched in 2017, not that important. Important is, I have already told you, conducted by NSO. It is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Objective is to estimate the monthly and the quarterly estimates. In every month, how many people are unemployed? In every year, how many people are unemployed? Daily status of unemployment, what is there? It tries to find out the unemployment status. What else? Tracks short-term labor market fluctuation. That will be tracked basically depending upon how much is the demand of work, how much is the supply of the labor. Covers both rural and urban area. That is important to remember. I think that's about it. What are the challenges here we are facing? Persistent gender gap in the workforce participation is there. Males are 80%, females are 40%. There is low vocational training. Vocation means your job. So you don't have the practical training required to do the job. You might have done education, theoretical knowledge you have got, but practically what it takes to operate a machine, to use an equipment, that kind of training is not existing over here. Uneven rural urban employment opportunities are there. See, remember that in urban areas you might get slightly better opportunities, more diverse opportunity. You may earn a better amount of money also. In rural India you are earning less, but some of the other kind of job you will get. You also have Manrega scheme, VBG, Ramji Yojana scheme, basically for rural unemployed person, right? For urban unemployed person, it is not there. Also, when someone migrates into urban India, the cost of living is also high. So just because they are earning more doesn't mean they will be living a better life. They will then lead to development of the slums also. If you look at Mumbai, around 50% of the people, 52% of the people live in slums only. We are talking about the financial capital of the country, about 50% people living in slums. So you see a complete contrast in Mumbai. You will have big 5-star hotels and buildings, and then you will have slum developments next to it. Okay. Yes. Now let's come to the coal gasification. Now where is this concept coming from? See, again, the emphasis of the government to intensify the gasification of coal is because of the US-Iran war that is going on. Now gas. Now the gas, if you talk about, we know gas used in LPG cylinders, gas used in auto, gas used in transportation for cars, etc. There are gas used in other areas also. One example is steel. In steel industry also the gas is used. In steel industry, this is not that diagram. In steel industry, basically you have a diagram something like this. You have a blast furnace. You have a blast furnace. This is the area from which you add gas. And this region is at different degrees Celsius temperature, 1300, 1400, 1500 degrees Celsius. This is where the iron ore is going to come. And this is where the molten steel will be recovered. and this is where the byproduct or the slag that you call will be left, and this is the place wherein syngas is required in this process also. So even in steel industry you need gas. Now you are not getting gas from the countries that from where you import, so your steel production is also taking a hit. So what other option you have is produce your own gas. Okay, if it's not naturally available, convert it, prepare it. So we already have a mission, now we are intensifying the mission of what? Of coal gasification. Coal gasification means you convert this coal into the gas. Okay, so which is basically needed over here. That is the whole concept. I'll give you the equations and everything. So if you look at the key features, the total outlay of the scheme is 37,500 crore. The target of gasification of 75 million tons of coal or lignite. Lignite is what? It's a type of coal only. So using that we will gasify it. It builds up national coal gasification. It builds up upon, means this is an addition to the already ongoing coal gasification mission of 2021. Okay. Yes, where is the most important thing? Yes. So this is some of the key features. This scheme will provide incentives. So there will be an incentive structure from the government. Up to 20% of the plant and machinery equipment cost will be given to you. Now this cost will basically be given to you in four installments, right? So what is that installment? Up to 5,000 crore, then 9,000 crore, and this is not the one. Installment is 4, which will be different, but for a single project the total amount that you can get is 5,000 crore, not more than that. Then a single product 9,000 crore, single entity group 12,000 crore. So these are nothing but, do not confuse much, these are nothing but the type of coal gasification system that you will have. If you are producing a single product out of syngas, single product means when you gasify the coal, you get syngas. Now using this syngas, you can create multiple products. So for one single product, let's say you are using H2 only, that is hydrogen. For one single product, this is the amount. For one single project, the other amount is there. If there is a single entity group, a group of institutions doing that, there is a different. So just remember the numbers, that is all. Now we come to the strategic significance of the scheme. So what is the significance? LNG, this is liquefied natural gas. Liquefied natural gas, more than 50% is basically imported in India. What is why we say liquefied natural gas? Because this gas that is there in normal temperature is actually going to be in gas form, but you have to transport from one place to another. So you pressurize it and convert it into liquid. Okay? Then the same thing, you have the LPG. What is LPG? Liquefied? Yes. So what does this have? This basically has, very good, it has propane and butane in it. Does it have a smell? In your house it leaks, so there is a smell, but it does not have a smell. Propane and butane and the LPG is odorless, no odor. The smell that you get is artificially added into the gas so that if there is a gas leak, you can smell it. But actually it does not have any odor. Okay? So this is the idea of it. Now the important thing, let's come on to the process of that. What is the process? Yes, this is also important with respect to the coal, the topmost coal producing states that are there. So this is the map, top coal producers. So you have Odisha. Odisha is number 1. Factually, you should remember this. Odisha is number 1. Jharkhand is number 2. Then where is number 3? Chhattisgarh. Yes, Chhattisgarh is number 3. So these are the top 3. Now interestingly, you see with respect to coal reserves and iron ore reserves, they are so rich in those resources. But if you look at purchasing power wise, affluent wise, per capita income wise, they are poor. They come in one of the most poorest. So that development and dependency theory that we talk about, that the rich countries come and they extract all the things and then they utilize and they get developed and the developing country remains the same, the exact same kind of thing is happening over here. Of course, there are other factors also to it, but you can see that theory happening within India also. So over here, industrialization led to urbanization. Over here in Karnataka, for example, Maharashtra, for example, urbanization has happened with respect to service sector. So wherever you see urbanization because of industrial sector, there is a lot of concern. They are still poor. Also, Naxalism and all, you will find it over here. Okay, forests are getting cleared, industries are being formed, people are being displaced, then giving rise to Naxalism, then Naxalism gets politicized, it leads to further perpetration of that. However, we have brought that under control now. If you look at the service sector dominated economy, the service sector dominated economy, here people are not being displaced wherein MNCs and Wipro and Google are coming over here, right? Plus the purchasing power is even higher. The states are even more affluent. These are two different types of urbanization that is present in India. Okay, this is something additional that we have discussed. So these are the top performing states that are there. If we do that, if we do coal gasification, there can be a benefit of around 6,300 crore rupees annually. We will also save our foreign exchange. Now comes the equation. Yes, now this is the important thing. Okay. So this is basically your syngas, known as synthesis gas. Known as the synthesis gas. Okay. So the idea is you have the coal which is present over here, and of course you will basically provide heat to it, energy to it. So what actually happens is the coal is this, plus you add water to it. So what you get out of it is CO plus H2. So what you are actually, the basic thing that is happening actually here is hydrogen is being formed. This equation is not yet balanced. You have to balance the equation. Balancing of the equation is a completely different thing altogether. This is CO2 and this is H. Yes. So what will happen is this is going to be How do you balance C? This is 2 of hydrogen. This is 2 of hydrogen. But C1O1. But here O is 3. C is 1. So you have to increase O. If you make it over 3 over here, what happens? Carbon will also increase. So you will have to balance it out. You want to balance it out? Yes. Balance it. How will you balance it? 4. This gives us 8 and 8. I think there will be other components as well. Yes, we have not taken other components. This there will be multiple. Yes, now I remember there will be multiple equations. This will be one of the equations that will take place. In addition to this, other products will also be formed. This is one of the product that is being formed. Okay, and this is carbon monoxide. This will not be stable for a long period of time. Right, an issue with hydrogen is it is having a very high efficiency, it pollutes less, but also the issue is it is highly combustible. So you cannot store, transport and use hydrogen in its own form. So then what you will do is you will then convert this syngas into certain other things. This synthetic fuel, or let's say methanol or ethanol, which again you can use it in the form of energy. But what is important for you to remember the formula of the syngas? It is quite prominently in news. So syngas is, which of the following best describes syngas? This is carbon monoxide and hydrogen, which basically talks about the syngas. Okay. Significance of coal gasification. When you gasify the coal, basically you remove the impurities, so energy efficiency will be high, specific energy will be high. That means per unit burning of the syngas will yield higher energy to you because all the impurities you are removing from that. Hydrogen economy potential. Syngas is rich in hydrogen, so it can give you high energy. Also, hydrogen can be converted into ammonia, which is what? Fertilizer. It can be converted into methanol, ethanol. So all these things can also be derived out of syngas itself. Okay? That is the idea. The challenges are what? High initial capital cost. That is why the government is giving incentives of hundreds of crores of rupees to the people for starting the coal gasification plant. Also remember, CO2 plus H2O, water is also required. So it requires a high intensive water process is what it is. So huge amount of water will also be required. Carbon emission would still be there. You saw that CO2 is there. CO may combine with oxygen, lead to CO2. So some amount of carbon liberation will definitely be there. Way forward can be promote more indigenous R&D to lower its carbon emission. Also, you generally use carbon sequestration is also used because carbon is emitted. So you will have to sequester that carbon in order to ensure that it does not pollute. And carbon sequestration is also not a very popular method as of now because there are a lot of uncertainties with respect to carbon sequestration. You might keep on sequestering the carbon inside the earth. You don't know 10 years down the line how will it react, and if all of a sudden it comes out, that is going to cause issues in the region. Sorry?
Initially, where the government is planning to implement this project?
What happens is, where is not the point. So they are giving these incentives. So wherever this project or plant will be involved, first the place will be identified. Then you will have environment impact assessment program. Okay, is this place going to impact the environment or not? Then this place may be approved or may not be approved for this particular coal gasification. Generally, it should be near to the coal producing regions, right? So that the transportation cost is less, because majorly it's the coal that is required and it should not lose weight. There should not be wastages. The transportation should be less. So generally it will come in the high coal producing regions. But in that which exact location, that will depend upon environment impact assessment, social impact assessment, after the approval of which the projects will come up. Okay? That is the idea. Base of the scheme as in?
2021 there was a scheme, right?
So this is already there since 2021. Now what has happened is 2021 there is not much of a global crisis that is going on. So we are at our own pace trying to improve our coal gasification. But now what has happened is, since we are so much dependent and there is so uncertainty, everyone is speeding up their self-reliance. Now we cannot rely on others for a very long period of time. There is high time that we start depending upon our own self. One thing that we have not been able to do is to have self-reliance or anything close to that with respect to energy. With respect to energy, there has been huge dependence of all the world on the West Asian countries. That includes India. But at least if you look at, for example, USA. USA also depends on them. But USA have other techniques. What? Capture Venezuela. Right? Go into Iraq. Right? They have their crude oils. Not just that, they also have huge amount of shale gas, which gives them some sort of energy. They had shale gas reserves long back, but at that time the technology was not good enough to extract the shale gas at a lower price. Now they have that technology, so they are one of the biggest producers of shale gas. But with India, we don't have much of energy reserves. So we will have to look for substitutes. That point number one. Electric vehicle is a very good way out for us. Why? Because electric vehicle, more than 50% of our electricity is now going to come from what? Renewable energy sources. So our electric vehicle are going to run more than half percentage on the renewable energy sources. So that is really good. That will not pollute also. That will provide us energy security also. And the crude oil dependence will go out. If all of us in the next 10 years, let's say, have electric vehicles only, there's no need of crude oil. And the West world also knows it. That is why they are also coming with, different streams of income. They are starting to tax. The Islamic banks are getting closed. The Islamic loans are getting closed. They are now starting to tax the people over there, right? Charge the interest over there. So if we fasten the pace of this, it can of course change the game. Make sense? Okay? Sure. Let's see these questions. With reference to India's foreign exchange management during external shocks, consider the following statements. A rise in gold imports can widen the current account deficit. Yes, that is correct. Number two, what is this? Depreciation of the rupee can increase imported inflation. Yes, depreciation of rupee. If the rupee depreciate, right? So what happens? Imported inflation will come over here. Liberalized remittance scheme outflows have no impact on foreign exchange reserves because they are private transactions. No, foreign exchange reserve. In foreign exchange reserve, it will have no liberalized remittance scheme outflows have no, it has an impact. Yes, this will be false. This will be false. So this will be false. So the correct answer should be A over here. Very good. Okay. Next, which one of the following is the most likely consequence of keeping urea outside the nutrient-based subsidy framework? Balanced application of micronutrients? No. Excessive nitrogen? Yes, this would possibly be the thing. Excessive nitrogen application leading to soil nutrient imbalance. What are other things? Reduction in groundwater contamination caused by nitrates? Incorrect. In fact, it will be the opposite. Decline in fertilizer subsidy burden on the government? No, absolutely not. That can also be there, but I think this is the most prominent answer, that is second statement. Next, in the context of the periodic labor force survey, current weekly status method considers a person employed if, we have done it in static class. Current weekly status method considers a person employed if she have worked continuously for at least 6 months. No, current weekly, so 6 months will not come. Earned above the poverty line? No. Worked for at least 1 hour on one day during the last 7 days. This is what they should have done. If they have done this, work for at least 1 hour on any day during the last 7 days, then they are considered as employed. Okay. Consider following regarding coal gasification. It converts solid coal into syngas using limited oxygen and steam. Yes, steam, water in the form of steam is sent. Okay. Syngas mainly contains carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Yes, that is correct. Coal gasification completely eliminates carbon dioxide emission. No, some amount of carbon dioxide, carbon oxide, carbon compound will still be there. So B, 1 and 2 is the answer over here. B, that is 1 and 2. Which of the following best explains why reducing gold imports can help India during periods of global economic uncertainty? Gold imports directly increase agricultural productivity. Useless. Reduced gold imports can ease pressure on foreign exchange reserves and the rupee. This looks correct. C. Gold imports reduce fiscal deficit by increasing custom revenue. No. Gold imports strengthen the current account deficit position. No. So the correct answer here is going to be B, that is reduced gold imports can ease pressure on the foreign exchange and the rupee. Clear? Okay. So any questions? Okay, so that's about it. See you in the next class, guys. Please study the reader also. Okay, thank you.